Before any transformation, there is silence. Before the shift, there is stillness. But the wise one knows a storm of change is not far when the air feels different. Today, I want to invite you to become aware, not just with your eyes, but with your inner senses. July 6th is not just a date. It is a calling, a signal, a moment in time that carries with it energy, movement, and divine alignment. The greatest shifts in your life rarely announce themselves with noise. They come to the prepared, the attentive, the present. You are not here by accident. Your spirit has been sensing something building up, the tension, the pressure, the awakening. It all means something bigger is arriving. The question is, are you ready? Let us begin. Awareness precedes transformation. This simple truth carries profound power. In a world where distractions are endless and noise is constant, the most significant changes in our lives don't happen when we are busy. They happen when we become aware. The beginning of every transformation is the awakening of the mind. The moment we notice that something has shifted, even if we can't yet name what it is. It is not the external event that changes us first. It is the internal recognition of that event's meaning. July 6th is approaching, and some people will treat it like any other day. They will rise, go about their routine, and fall asleep unaware. But those who have cultivated awareness will sense that something is different. Maybe they won't be able to articulate it clearly. Maybe there will be no loud sign, no headline, no visible clue. But within them something stirs. An inner whisper that says, pay attention. That is the essence of awareness. It does not scream. It speaks softly, and only those who are listening will hear. In martial arts, before any movement, there is a pause, a breath, a centering of the self. The master never reacts immediately. The master observes. This is not weakness. This is power. The same principle applies to your life. Transformation does not begin with frantic action. It begins with calm observation. When you become aware of a shift, whether in your relationships, your career, your spiritual walk, you create space to choose your response, space to prepare your body, your mind, your spirit for what is coming. And this awareness allows you to align with the flow of that transformation rather than be swept away by it. Many people ask for change, they pray for breakthroughs, they hope for miracles, but what they miss is the first step, awareness. They want the fruit without observing the seed. They want to arrive at the mountaintop without realizing that the wind has already changed direction. Without awareness, transformation comes like a thief in the night, and instead of being empowered, you are caught off guard. Awareness is not just a mental concept. It is a discipline. It requires training. In the Shaolin tradition, the monk trains not just the body, but the awareness of the body. When he lifts his foot, he is aware of the ground. When he breathes, he is aware of the air. When he speaks, he is aware of the energy his words carry. And this level of awareness sharpens intuition. You begin to feel the shift in a room before anyone says a word. You sense the spiritual climate changing before the natural world reflects it. And this is how you stay ahead, not by guessing the future, but by being fully awake in the present. July 6th is symbolic, yes, but it is also literal. It is a marker, a threshold. And if your awareness is sharpened, you will notice that the pace of things begins to quicken. Opportunities that were once hidden begin to surface. Relationships that were dormant start to stir. Questions that you buried start demanding answers. And if you have not cultivated awareness, all of this will feel chaotic. But if you have been present, if you have listened in the silence, then you will see pattern. You will recognize alignment. You will know which door to walk through. Too many people are waiting for external confirmation to believe that something big is coming. They want someone to tell them what to expect. But awareness does not work like that. True awareness is not about information. It is about perception. You don't need to see the whole picture to start preparing. You only need to know that the picture is being painted and the colors are changing. Faith begins where information ends, and awareness is the bridge between the two. Even in the natural world, we see this principle. Animals migrate before the weather changes. They move not because they've read the forecast, but because their instincts, their awareness, alert them. The tree prepares to shed its leaves long before winter fully arrives. The soil knows when to harden and when to soften, when to release and when to absorb. Nature is not passive, it is deeply aware. So why should we as spiritual beings be any less? When you walk into a room, are you aware of the atmosphere? When someone speaks to you, are you aware of what they are not saying? When you feel restlessness in your spirit, are you aware enough to pause and ask why? This is where transformation begins. Not with action, but with perception. Not with striving, but with sensing. Something big is coming, but not everyone will experience it the same way. For some, it will be the release they've been waiting for. For others, it will feel like disruption. The difference lies in awareness. If you are alert, spiritually and emotionally, then you will not resist the shift, you will move with it. You will respond to the opening rather than retreat in fear. Awareness also brings responsibility. Once you know something, you cannot unknow it. Once you perceive the turning of the tide, you must choose how to navigate it. Ignoring what you sense is no longer an option. Awareness demands engagement. It calls you to align your habits, your priorities, and your mindset with what you now understand to be true. This is why silence and solitude are so powerful. In the quiet, you can hear what is hidden beneath the noise. In solitude, you can listen not just to your thoughts, but to your deeper knowing. Most people miss transformation because they are too loud to listen. But those who choose stillness become sensitive. They detect the first crack in the wall before it falls. They notice the shift in spiritual atmosphere before the world catches up. Do not wait for fireworks. Do not wait for someone to announce that everything has changed. Begin today by sharpening your awareness. Pay attention to your inner world. Notice the shifts in your desires, your focus, your peace. These are not random. They are signals. Just as the body gives signs before a major change, so does the spirit. The uneasiness, the divine discontent, the sudden inspiration, these are all evidence that something big is coming. Most people train the outer self, their image, their schedule, their performance. But the true warrior trains awareness. Because if you can sense the shift before it comes, you can position yourself to benefit from it. You become proactive instead of reactive. And that is where transformation gains momentum. When the wind changes, the eagle doesn't fight it. It spreads its wings and rises. But to do that, the eagle must first notice the change. Awareness comes before flight. Awareness comes before transformation. Awareness is the seed of every breakthrough. You do not need to know everything about what's coming, but you must be present enough to know that something is coming. Because transformation does not announce itself to the unaware. It waits for the one who is watching. Stillness is not emptiness, it is preparation for divine alignment. In a culture that worships movement, achievement, and noise, stillness is often misunderstood. People equate it with passivity, with doing nothing, with being left behind. But this perspective is shallow. Stillness, in its truest form, is not the absence of motion, but the presence of deep intentional awareness. It is the sacred space where transformation begins, where clarity emerges, and where divine instructions are received. When you are still, you begin to hear what is truly guiding you. In stillness, the clutter of the mind falls away, and what remains is essence, truth without the noise of ego, fear, or expectation. Stillness is not the lack of activity, it is the gathering of spiritual strength. It is the calm before revelation. It is the posture that says, I am ready to receive. It is preparation, not paralysis. Those who constantly move from one task to another, from one goal to the next, may look productive on the surface, but often they are moving without alignment. They are doing much, but accomplishing little of eternal value. Without stillness, they never stop long enough to ask the deeper question, am I aligned with what is truly meant for me? Stillness forces confrontation with what matters. It removes distractions. It brings to the surface that which has been buried by busyness. Stillness is an internal condition. You can be physically still and yet have a storm raging inside, or you can be physically active, moving, working, creating, but be internally still, grounded, and deeply connected. Divine alignment is not a result of constant movement. It is a result of accurate movement. And accuracy requires clarity. Clarity requires stillness. In that stillness, divine timing is revealed. You begin to see what is ready, what must wait, and what must be released. Consider the archer. Before releasing the arrow, there is a pause, a breath, a centering. The target is fixed, the bow is drawn, and only in stillness can the archer choose the perfect moment to release. That pause determines the direction and power of the arrow. The same is true in life. If you move without that moment of stillness, you may miss your mark. But if you pause, breathe, and align, your action becomes powerful, focused, and effective. Divine alignment is not something you chase. It is something you recognize. It is a state where your internal world harmonizes with the external direction of your life. It is when what you feel in your spirit matches the opportunities that arise in your reality. But to recognize divine alignment, you must quiet the noise. You must create space. And that is where stillness becomes essential. It opens your spiritual senses so that you can discern timing, purpose, and truth. The noise of the world is designed to pull you away from yourself. Every scroll, every notification, every distraction chips away at your stillness. It floods your mind with other people's opinions, fears, and priorities. You begin to react rather than respond. You begin to chase instead of attract. But when you return to stillness, you return to center. You begin to hear your own breath, your own thoughts, your own soul's longings, and more importantly, you begin to hear divine instruction. There is a reason prophets, monks, sages, and spiritual masters often retreat into the wilderness or the mountains. It is not because the noise of the world is evil. It is because clarity cannot compete with chaos. In the quiet, they hear what others miss. They receive insight not available to those constantly consumed by external voices. And when they emerge from that stillness, they carry wisdom. They move differently, they speak differently, they are aligned. Stillness also reveals what is not aligned. When you sit in silence, what rises? Anxiety, peace, anger, gratitude. The emotions that surface in stillness are not interruptions. They are information. They show you where your energy is going. They show you what needs healing, what needs attention, and what needs to be surrendered. Stillness is not just preparation for what's coming. It is a mirror to your present condition. And only when you see yourself clearly can you begin to align with what is higher, deeper, and true. Alignment cannot be forced. It must be allowed. It must be received. Stillness opens the door to that receiving. Imagine standing before a river. You want to step into the current and be carried toward your destiny. But if you jump in without sensing the flow, without watching the direction of the water, you might be swept away in the wrong direction. But if you stand still, observe, and listen to the rhythm of the water, you will know the exact moment to step in. And when you do, the current will carry you, not because you fought it, but because you aligned with it. There is wisdom in waiting. There is purpose in the pause. We live in a world that glorifies acceleration, but the spirit often moves in divine rhythm, not human urgency. Some things cannot be rushed. Healing cannot be rushed. Revelation cannot be rushed. Growth cannot be rushed. These things unfold in the sacred space of stillness, and those who have learned to honor that space walk in a different kind of power. In stillness, you become deeply rooted. Like the tree that stands firm through storms because its roots are deep, your stillness prepares you for whatever is coming. When you're rooted, you do not fear the winds of change. You do not panic when doors close. You do not crumble under pressure, because your strength does not come from the surface. It comes from your depth. And that depth is cultivated in the unseen, quiet moments of stillness. People may not understand your stillness, They may question why you're not doing more, trying harder, pushing faster. But they do not know what you are listening for. They do not know that in your stillness, you are receiving strategy, confirmation, strength. You are not inactive, you are aligning. And when the time comes, you will move with precision and power, not from a place of exhaustion, but from a place of divine clarity. Stillness also sharpens discernment. When your mind is calm, you can feel when something is off, even if it looks right. You can sense when an opportunity is a distraction, not a destiny. You begin to trust the subtle movements of your spirit more than the loud promises of the world. You begin to walk by faith, not by sight, because your alignment is no longer based on appearances. It's rooted in divine instruction. Even in battle, the greatest warriors have a moment of stillness. They study the opponent. They measure the field. They wait, not out of fear, but because they understand that timing is everything. Stillness is not hesitation, it is wisdom. It is the moment that separates survival from victory, chaos from order, noise from truth. Those who cultivate stillness begin to hear a different voice. Not the voice of fear or doubt or ambition, but the voice of divine guidance. And that voice never shouts. It speaks in whispers. It speaks in nudges. It speaks in peace. But you must be still enough to notice it. You must create a space where that voice can rise above the noise. And in that space, your path becomes clear. Your purpose begins to unfold. Your next step is revealed not through force, but through flow. The present will recognize the door when it opens. Life is full of divine opportunities, doors that lead to growth, elevation, purpose, and alignment, but not everyone sees them. It is not because the door wasn't there, it is because they were too distracted, too overwhelmed, too entangled in the past or worried about the future to recognize what was in front of them. Presence is more than simply being in a location. Presence is a state of full awareness where your heart, your mind, and your spirit are anchored in the now. Only in that state of awareness can you truly perceive what is being offered to you. Many people miss the turning points in their lives because they are waiting for dramatic signs. They want the door to swing open with lights, sounds, and confirmation from others. But most divine doors don't open with noise. They open with subtlety. A conversation, a moment of peace, a chance to do something that stretches your character, a divine idea that flashes for only a few seconds before it fades unless you act on it. The door often looks ordinary to the inattentive, but to the present soul, it radiates possibility. Being present is an act of discipline. It is easy to drift into the past, to live in memories, to replay old wounds or past achievements. It is equally easy to live in the future, projecting fears, anxieties, or fantasies. But presence requires focus. It demands that you bring all of your energy into now. The mind will fight you. The ego will try to pull you backward or forward. But the spirit is only accessible in the present. And it is through your spirit that you will discern the divine door when it appears. The power of presence is that it sharpens perception. You begin to see meaning in what others call mundane. You hear depth in conversations others dismiss. You pick up on divine timing not because you're special, but because you are aware. This awareness is what allows you to walk through the right door at the right moment. Because some doors have an expiration. They are available for a time and then they close. If you are not present, you will not only miss the door, you may not even know it was there. Doors are not always external. Sometimes the door is within you. The courage to forgive, the willingness to release an old identity, the openness to step into a version of yourself that you have not yet become. These doors appear when you are quiet enough to notice the shift inside you. They are invitations to step higher, think deeper, move freer. But if your mind is scattered, if your attention is divided, you will suppress the prompt. You will say not now or maybe later. And the door will wait only so long before it disappears. Lie 6 is not just about what will happen, It's about whether or not you'll see what's happening. Because something big can be occurring right around you, and if you are not present, you won't benefit from it. Presence aligns you with the moment. It allows you to receive divine downloads. It positions you to act with precision rather than guess out of desperation. When the door opens, you won't hesitate. You recognize it. You'll step into it. Not out of pressure, but out of knowing. In the ancient Shaolin practice, monks are trained to be aware of every movement, every sound, every breath. It is not about paranoia. It is about presence. Because the next move, the next opportunity, the next danger can all be identified if you are fully present. The same principle applies spiritually. You will hear what others overlook. You will notice the change in rhythm. You will catch the shift in energy. And when the divine door opens, you will not need to ask 10 people if it's real. You will know because you were already aligned within. Sometimes the door doesn't look like what you expected. It may be disguised in discomfort. It may appear as a problem before it is revealed as a promotion. It may arrive through a person who doesn't look like what you imagined. Only presence allows you to see beyond appearance and recognize essence. Presence gives you spiritual eyes. It removes the filters of fear, judgment, and ego. It allows you to sense resonance, the deep knowing that says, this is for me. The truth is, divine timing waits for no one. The door will not beg for your attention. It will not shout above your distractions. It will not fight for your loyalty. It will simply open quietly and wait for the one who is watching. That's why being present is not optional for the awakened life. It is essential. Without presence, you are spiritually blind. You walk past answers, you ignore solutions, you overlook blessings. There is always a door opening somewhere. The universe is in constant motion. Seasons shift, cycles turn, but only those who are present move with the rhythm. The rest are always behind, always reacting, always wishing they had seen it sooner. But you are not called to live in regret. You are called to live in attention. Attention is the seed of transformation. It is what turns insight into action. It is what allows you to respond instead of repeat. When you live in presence, you realize that life is always speaking. The question is never whether the door is there. The question is whether you are here fully, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Presence is what enables you to feel the nudge, hear the whisper, and move with confidence. The more present you are, the more you notice that life is not random. Patterns emerge. Confirmations arrive. The invisible becomes visible. To be present is to be in tune with divine frequency. It is the posture of the soul that says, I am listening. And when you are listening, you are no longer forcing things, you are flowing. You are no longer desperate, you are discerning. You are not chasing opportunity, you are welcoming what is aligned. And when the door comes, as it always does, you are already positioned. You do not have to run, you only have to walk through. Opportunities are not rare, awareness is. The more present you are, the more abundant life becomes. What others see as coincidence, you recognize as divine orchestration. What others miss in haste, you find in mindfulness. The open door becomes obvious to the present soul. There is no striving, only stepping. No confusion, only clarity. And even when the door seems intimidating, you know it is right. Not because it's easy, but because you are prepared. You are awake. You are here